weekend racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 294. Mr. Samich. No huzzah?
Huzzah!
There it is. You move locations on us, and then you forgot what you're supposed to do there. Hey, we are going with a midweek pick four. There really wasn't a whole lot to talk about from last weekend. But we're going to take a look at Saratoga's late pick four sequence on Wednesday, as you saw on the screen there. Thanks for removing that. How you doing today, buddy?
I am doing well, my man. I'm doing well. Switched up the location. I'm out of that little dark cave where I was like in the witness protection program in one of those shows, and now into a little bit sunnier of an area. But yeah, it was a good weekend. It was a frustrating weekend from a gambling perspective. We give out a cold pick four for $15, and then we run second, and then the last one wins. It's kind of frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. But hey, we'll keep the train rolling here, and hopefully we can connect here in the Wednesday pick four. Excited about this sequence. I mean, we were talking about this before the show started. It's Saratoga when you've got a graded stakes and another race with multiple graded horses in it, and then you end with a $40,000 maiden. That's only Saratoga on a Wednesday. It's amazing because this is like a Saturday card at a lot of places.
Yeah, I was telling you before we got going, I had to remind myself halfway through handicapping this. Oh yeah, this is a Wednesday. This isn't Saturday. This would be Saturday. And most of the Belmont meets, their Belmont weekends that we had, which is not a bad thing. A shot against Belmont, but just the level, the quality of horses in here. Yeah, we've got the grade two race with Bell's the One headlining it in the middle of it there. So we'll get into that. Before we get into things, though, Mike, what's the best thing you saw this weekend?
I mean, this is pretty easy. I got to bring my daughter to the track for like an extended period of time for multiple times this weekend, and that by far took the cake, man. I had a lot of flashbacks of myself. One of the great things, if you've never been to Saratoga, is how accessible the jockeys are, and everyone is really. They literally walk right back through the backyard area with this red line on either side, so you can go, you get an autograph, and you can ask for goggles, things like that. And I used to do all of this when I was, anywhere from 8 to 12 years old, and I'd be running back there with my program, getting Jerry Bailey to sign it, Mike Smith to sign it, all that jazz. And I always used to try and get goggles and ask for goggles. And I mentioned that to Lily, and she was so excited about the idea of getting a pair of goggles. And so we went up after a race, and Jose Lascano was nice enough to give us a pair of his goggles, and she immediately put them on and then rode them when she was trekking around for the next 2 days, and like everything. The goggles had to go with us to lunch yesterday. So she is over the moon about it. And as a father who also is a degenerate horse bettor, I'm over the moon about it too, because it means it's something that we can kind of start to share together. So starting them young, pretty excited about that. But yeah, I was having her there and to actually understand and enjoy it versus when she was there and she was 15 months old. A little different experience. So excited to have her there at age 3.
Yeah, the photos you sent were pretty damn awesome. I was excited to see the fun that she was having in Saratoga. That's one thing Saratoga has that Del Mar doesn't, is that area for the kids to go run up and try and get autographs or stuff. At Del Mar, it's just kind of as they're, like at most tracks, is as they're walking by, you just got to know where to stand. That's really cool. I'm excited to someday bring Colson to the track and use him as bait to get a nice pair of goggles. Hopefully from Flavian Pratt, if he's still out here, hasn't moved to New York yet.
Yeah, it's fun, man. And it's nice because you can even get them before the race if you want to. The paddock is really big and it's easy to see into it. Saratoga's backyard is it's amazing. And they also have a playground there, which is kind of cool. I know Santa Anita has one as well in the infield, but they have one where you have a slide and you have 3 horses that you can ride. They have a starting gate where kids can start and run around a racetrack that they put there. So just a lot of cool stuff you can do. Easy way to kind of introduce the family into racing and get it going. So if you have kids and you want to go see the races, Saratoga Racetrack's a great one.
That's pretty awesome. My best thing is I talked about it last week. We had family and friends come into town for a week to help out and meet Colson and everything. So the best thing was we got to bring him, took him to 2 cars because of how big our group size is. We drove down to Santa Monica last night and got to go to the pier and to the beach and everything like that, and just kind of let him experience that, being at the beach and seeing, it was nighttime, so you had the lights of the pier and all the craziness and the action. You know well what goes on in Santa Monica at night on a normal Saturday night in the summer. So for him to be able to experience that and bring him down it was great weather, and it was just a lot of fun to walk around. And living in California, if you're not like, we don't live by the beach, which is like 20 minutes, half hour away. We really don't go to the beach like ever. So it's like, but the traffic, it's like, I don't want to do all that. You don't bother with it. But it was fun to go down there first time in a couple of years for me and bring him and let him kind of experience it. He does not like the feel of sand, though. We learned that. He didn't like sand.
If he wasn't eating it, you're a winner. You get so spoiled living in Los Angeles. I mean, I played beach volleyball for a couple of years, so I was on the beach every day. But then I stopped playing and lived 7 blocks away in Santa Monica. Maybe we'll go to the beach twice a year. Like, not even kidding. But now I go on vacation. If I'm within a mile of the beach, I'm like, we go every day. Like, it's just amazing how much you take it for granted when you're living there. But yeah, it's pretty cool when you get to kind of see get these new experiences with kids, especially one like Santa Monica Pier and things like that. It's a lot of fun.
I call it the in and out effect. When I lived in Michigan and would come to California to visit for a few different, over the course of a few years, it's like I had to have in and out. Like, as soon as I got to California, got to get in and out, and got to have it again as I'm leaving. And a lot of times snuck an extra one onto the airplane for me to have it like it's a snack. I live out here maybe once a year. We have in and out now that I live here.
I gotta say, the almost best thing I saw, if Lily didn't steal the show for me, I'm really excited about how football is starting to round into shape, too. We have Aaron Rodgers, who's apparently going to retire and now is going to play this year. We've got Deshaun Watson reported for camp and now expects to be traded before the start of the season. I guess the Broncos are what is the team? Or the Eagles are the top teams to get him. So I'm excited to have like big football news breaking again because it gets me excited about the season. And we're not even talking about the Oklahoma-Texas thing, too, which is absolutely crazy. It won't happen this year. That'll be probably a year or two away.
They 2025 is when their deal with the Big 12 TV network. That's when that runs up. So I think that's when they can get out officially is 2025.
Or they could pay $75 million to break the contract.
Oh, is that an option too? Okay.
Or if the Big 12 is no longer a conference, everyone is out for no cost.
I bet you that's what happens. If
there's
Oklahoma and Texas are out, the other teams are like, what are they?
And if you're the Pac-12, if you're the ACC, you now need to create a 16-team conference as soon as possible. Because if you don't, and the Big 12 does, all of a sudden, you're going to have 4 16-team conferences now. That's what's going to happen. So it's a race to be the 4 that get there first. And so I wouldn't be shocked if you see a major realignment domino-wise like 2023 when that actually happens.
So Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-12, Big 10, SEC, ACC? Is that what ends up being the 4 major conferences?
Someone's going to be out of that, though. That's 5. So it's probably going to be ACC, Pac-12, Big East, SEC.
And you're going to have Big East.
I'm sorry, Big 10.
Big 10. Yeah. Yep.
And so you're going to have Boise State go into one of them. You're going to have Kansas, Texas Tech, TCU all go to specific places. So it's interesting how that realignment's going to happen. But there's going to be an odd man out. And that means there's going to be odd teams out. So you got to get ahead of this if you're a risk analyst at any of these colleges. And you have to move quickly and figure out where you fit the best.
Well, let's move quickly over to the Saratoga late pick 4 sequence for Monday, July 28th. We got a fun one to talk about if you're watching live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Send us your comments, your thoughts on the horses. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. All right, Mike, kicking things off is the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Wednesday, July 20th. I already did it once. Race 7 on the card. Field of 8 fillies, 4 and up, plus 1 main track only entry. Going a mile and a 16th on the inner turf courses. Their non-winners are 3 other than, and this is the race that Mike was talking about. You got 5 of these 8 horses are stakes winners. 3 of them have either won in the graded ranks or are multiple stakes winners or a combination of the 2. Favoritism is on number 6, Tama here at 8-5 for Chad Brown, taking a big class drop, as is the number 5, Passing Out, second choice at 5-2. Mike, where are you going on top here?
Man, this is one of those crazy races. First off, the rumors around like the backstretch of Saratoga is that Chad Brown is completely shot. He was 10% going into the weekend last weekend, and apparently he's just not a good trainer anymore. It's amazing how many people are like, Chad Brown sucks. Like, I couldn't believe how many times I heard that. It's kind of a little bit of an overreaction Monday in my mind. I think that percentage will kind of go back to a normalcy, and we're already at 15% to start this week, so it's starting to move in the right direction. Look, one other thing I want to mention before we jump into this. There were 2 races all weekend where you had speed win at Saratoga on the turf course. either turf course. Both of them were on Sunday. They were actually, I think, the third and the fifth race, third and the fifth race, where you had a 2-year-old win wire to wire, the 4-horse, going 2 turns. That's the only 2-turn wire to wire winner we've had in almost 2 weeks here on the turf course. And then you had a 5.5 furlong race where Wesley Ward horse, ridden by Irad Ortiz, was one of 3 pace horses and was able to be the one that ended up prevailing. Everything else over the weekend, you need to come from off the pace. And I thought there was no better example than that than Robin Sparkles, who is a very talented horse at 6 furlongs, went 5.5 furlongs, had a loose lead, and looked dead tired coming home. And she was going fractions that were very handleable or very manageable for her. So we're supposed to get rain tomorrow up here. It's dried out a little bit, but that rain tomorrow, if it does come, I think this turf course is again going to play toward closers. It's the main reason I'm not going to use the 7-horse Sweet Melania. It's one of the reasons I went into this whole diatribe, because she is controlling speed in my mind here. She is talented enough to win this race. I think the course is just playing so poorly for her that I'm not going to play her, and I'm going to be avoiding speed early in this week. And if we get rain later into the week, because the heavier that turf course gets, the harder it is to take the field wire to wire. All that being said, yeah, the 7-horse here is going to be my top pick and my must-use. I don't really want to eat the chalk in this spot, but we're coming out of the Grade 1 Just a Game. We're coming out of the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. We're coming out of the Grade 1 Matriarch, all of which she didn't run that bad. And she was facing Juliet Foxtrot, Blowout, Antigua, like Summer Romance, who came back and ran 1-2 last weekend at Saratoga, or 2 weekends ago at Saratoga. Very tough fields. This is a big-time drop in class. She has enough tactical speed that she won't be forever behind Sweet Melania, but she's going to be having a tactical advantage because she won't be on the lead. I think she makes a ton of sense here with the 6-horse. So the 6-horse time here is going to be my top pick. The other horse I put in the must-use was actually the other Shug. I kind of like the 3 more than I like the 5. This goes back to my thing where I want the horses that are going to be closing. I think that the distance suits this horse very well. I know a 1.16 might seem a little bit too short, but for the return off the layoff, I think it kind of hits her right between the eyes. She has been absolutely rolling late. She's won at Saratoga before, which I think is a big thing. And this is one of those closers that just looks like it's ready to absolutely fire. One more thing, Shug's 19% off this type of layoff. Additionally, this is a Kitten's Joy horse out of a more than ready mare, but the Kitten's Joy aspect of it, I believe they get better as they get older. So that 5-year-old season is often a very good season from a Kitten's Joy perspective. I think the 3-horse is sitting on a huge one here at 10-1.
I didn't love the 3 for the distance thing that you said. Like you said, this could just be, coming off the layoff, it might be the right one. I just think off the layoff for this horse, the way it's setting up is going to be, it still end up being too short. But you made good points for it. I do have I'm not using either Shug horse. But if one of them does scratch, I'm going to throw the other one on. I do have the price ability to afford to throw someone else in there. So I didn't use either one of those. I used the 2 horses you talked about. I used the 6, the Chad Brown horse, the major class drop. I think even with Chad not starting off as Saratoga, guns a-blazing, I think with this horse you have to use. You have to use this horse even if defensively. I used the 7 Sweet Melania. 1, I didn't know that the turf course at Saratoga wasn't doing too hot. 2, I really do think this horse is a controlling speed. If things change, if what you're saying ends up being a trend that we don't see take over on Wednesday, that maybe speed can hold on, especially routing, this is the horse that will do it, is Louise Saez up for Todd Pletcher. She's got a win in 2 seconds at Saratoga, including the P.G. Johnson she lost, but she broke her maiden one before over this course and distance. She does have 2 wins from 4 starts at the distance. So to me, it sounds like the one big thing here is if the speed doesn't hold up, she doesn't have a shot in hell.
Yeah, if speed isn't playing well, and you have 2 turf races prior to it, both going 2 turns, so you have some ability to look at the turf races from earlier in the day to see if the speed is still really struggling. But I mean, I've never seen speed be this bad on the Saratoga turf. Usually, it's a much more dominant, and in these cases, it's been brutal. If you're up front, I'm talking like. I think we had a time where it was 55 seconds for the first half, 118 and it was a 1 3/8 race, 118 for 6 furlongs, and the horse finished last. Like it's been that bad where it's just been, you can't go slow enough over that turf course. I am going to use the other Shug here. I think that's the other horse to me that's dangerous in this spot. It's going to be the 5-horse Passing Out. This horse has run some pretty big races. I like the fact that we're going to be coming from off the pace. The 1.16 distance, again, I believe is a very good distance. 2 in the money finishes out of 3 starts in the career. 1 was off a layoff on a good track at Belmont. That's kind of my biggest concern here. Like the races off the layoff aren't huge for this horse. The one time it went off a layoff was in $32,000 optional. This is a much tougher field. I'm not like I don't love passing out, but if I'm going to use the 3, I feel like I kind of have to use the 5 here as well. The 5 is coming out of strong races, Vidara and Rushing Fall, 2 of the last 3s. So I don't love the 5, but the 5 is going to make the ticket here for me. So I'm going 3-5-7 to kick this thing off.
So like I mentioned, if one of those 2 scratches, I'm going to put the other Shug horse in. If Shug scratches one of them, you're already using both. Do you have another horse that you'll fill in with that, or do you want to move it around later on the card?
Man, I don't know. I don't have anyone else that I really love in here. To me, the next logical horse is the 7, Sweet Milano. So what I might do is spread a little bit more in leg 2 or leg 4, which I think are more difficult, and try and get out of here with the 7 in the Shug horse, or the 6 in the Shug horse.
Perfect. Let's move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Wednesday, July 28th. We've got a field of 11 males, 3 and up, plus 4 main track only entries, going 5.5 furlongs sprinting on the outer turf course. Favoritism here, number 3, big package at 3-1. We know plenty about that at the Magic Mike show. But Mike, with a big field here, first level allowance horses, we both went pretty deep. You're 4 deep, I'm 5 deep. Luckily, 3 of your 4 I use, so I'll let you kick things off here.
Yeah, I misspoke there. I'm using 3, 5, and 6 in the first leg, and then I'll use 6 in whoever the Shug is left. So this race I thought was wildly difficult. I kind of hate a couple of the horses in this spot, and so I'm going to take some big-time swings here. I'm not going to do that on top. I think the 3 big package makes the most sense here. I don't love the fact that we came out of state bred races and we ran once in an optional and we didn't run that well. But the jockey drop off between Luis Cardonas, who's carrying full weight, and Irad Ortiz is wild. I don't think 7 furlongs is what that horse wanted to do. I think 5.5 is much better in this spot. This horse won at 5.5 over this Saratoga turf course. So I think we're cutting back to a better distance for the 3 big package than what we saw last time. And I think you're getting a massive upgrade in rider, and a rider in Irad Ortiz that it knows this horse well, riding him 2 of the last 3 starts.
Yeah, this was my top pick here. Yes, Andy, this is a 4-year-old facing a lot of 3-year-olds in here, so you've got that experience edge. Does have 3 wins, even though this is first level allowance. He has a New York bred. He's done pretty well against his own kind. Ricky's Rockets, Ricky Pasternak, donk on turf. That's a big angle he loves. So the fact that Irad sees fit to ride for the the third time of the year, and did win 2 back on this horse. You got to love that one. Another one that we used together, the 2 Colton's Command. This is a Bill Mott trainee. Man, he had that really sharp maiden debut win at Gulfstream Park, routing on turf. Not a lot of things that you see Mott do impressively first time out. Really nice 86 buyer, and has just been going backwards ever since then. So now we're cutting back to 5 furlongs, or 5.5 furlongs. I don't know that sprinting 5.5 is going to be this horse's best game, but if you look at who this horse has been facing, beat Shaftesbury on debut. That horse came back to win next out. Faced Public Sector in the last 2. That's a really strong Chad Brown turf horse. I use because this is really great back class here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, I trust Mott quite a bit. I talked about liking closers. I think this is one of your logical closers. I think you have the talent to stay close enough to the pace to be in range here and still be able to run down whoever's on the lead early, which I think is important here for a horse like the 2. I think you have to stay in range, and that really is my biggest concern. But you do have speed where this horse flashed close to a 23 number in their first start in that first quarter. So I'm hoping that we see a 22 and change come up, and this horse is running a 23 and change. We're 5 lengths back and right in the thick of it. So I think that the 2 needs the pace to materialize in front of it, but I do think that Colton's Command makes a lot of sense here at 5-1, especially with Alvarado up. He is riding the majority of Mott's good horses. And so if that combination is up, I trust the Mott horse a little bit more, especially in this non-winners of 1 allowance, maiden special weight. I want to see Ortiz and some of those guys when we're talking about the big time races. But at this level, Alvarado is often the one that gets the call when Mott's horses are live.
Well, and the 2 of them together in the last year and a half at Saratoga, flat bet profit, $2.04. So with the 77 mounts, and it's a strong barn, it's going to be competing at high levels. That's a good one to use. Or a good mark to use. Let's take a look at the 12 horse all the way on the outside. This is the other horse that you and I have agreement on. I can't believe we're getting 15-1. I don't think we're going to get 15-1. I've seen a few other people like this horse. Amsden for Wesley Ward, returning since he was the even money favorite in the 5 furlong Ontario Racing Stakes at Woodbine last September. He was last of 6 by almost 13 lengths there. Now he comes back fully gelded, which, by the way, if you notice that he was gelded or the gelding date that he was reported was July 23rd, went out there and ran 48-1 at Saratoga around the dogs on the turf. That's a champ right there. Get gelded and go run a fast workout. Really sharp horse here coming in. Ward John Velasquez isn't going to ride unless Wesley Ward's got a good horse. He got 38% win rate together. Did I miss anything about why you love this horse?
Well, this is the classic Wesley Ward. I have a good horse style, right? I think that's important to note here. He's got 2 in here. I'm not using the other horse, the 6-horse Gypsy King. And when you look at that racehorses, just look at his what he did in his career. Debuts at 5 furlongs at Churchill on the dirt. Okay, that's not generally a good Wesley Ward sign. Like if it doesn't just absolutely roll. And this horse didn't. It wasn't the favorite in that race either. Comes back at Keeneland at 5.5 on the turf, 3-1, loses by 4 lengths. Then goes to Ellis Park, breaks its maiden there. That's not what you want to see from a Wesley Ward 2-year-old. His best horses roll early in their career, period. You just don't have many of those horses that come into their own throughout the process. And then when you look at a horse like the 12 horse, this is what I want to see from a Wesley Ward horse. I wanted to see him go off as a 40 cent on the dollar favorite. I want to see him win first time out. I want to see him beat 2 runners who then win the next time. And look, the next race, he got bumped. He got pinched back at the start. This horse wanted to go wire to wire, wasn't able to. We've had a long time off. I guarantee you that gelding date is wrong, because they also probably would have worked out and then done the clipping, which,
that's just the day it was reported, not the date it actually happened. I just laughed that that's the same date.
You got to think that it happened in between those workouts at some point, which still is pretty quickly to come back from the snipping like that. I mean, he worked on July 13th and then he came back on July 23rd. So.
I've been told they only need a couple days off and then they're right back into full training.
Yeah, but I've been told you don't get you need a couple months to really be ready for it. And that kind of surgery, I would want a little more time off in a couple days, just personally speaking in that sense, right? So, I think that the 12 horse looks more like a Wesley Ward horse that is the real deal. Oh, by the way, also the son of American Pharoah selling for $350,000. You don't geld that horse if you don't think it's going to take a big time step forward, because you could probably have already done something with this horse in a breeding aspect.
Yeah. I did use the other Wesley Ward horses, the last one on, but I went back and forth between using him or the one that you did. Joel Rosario is hopping aboard this horse. We haven't seen him since the Futurity. Mike outlined that this horse is not the type of Wesley Ward. Only been favored once, and it was his 3rd race. It took him 3 starts to break the maiden, as you mentioned here. You might be able to convince me to switch to your horse. Before we get to him, my top pick is the 7, Noble Emotion, and I'm pretty sure I know why you didn't use him, because this horse is really fast, and it's a turf sprint, and you just talked about how speed isn't working well at Saratoga. But this horse is second off the layoff. Second at age 4. Again, this is a 4-year-old facing 3-year-old, a big field of 3-year-old horses here. I think this horse is just, if he's able to get loose early, this race is short enough, 5.5. Could be gone. No, who's going to catch him, going that short? If we're talking 6.5 furlongs especially, then I think he's in trouble. But this horse has won over this course in distance before going gate to wire. Jose Ortiz was aboard last out when the horse went gate to wire at Belmont against New York breds, stepping back up into open company here. But I think this horse has got potential if he sneaks away. It's just a matter of, do you really think that the speed is going to hold up or not?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a couple issues with it. I'm not sure he's going to be able to sneak away easily. I feel like you're going to have a duel up front with some of the speed that's right into the inside. And secondly, and this is for me, I mean, this is just something that I don't love betting. It's not the jump up from state bred up into open company, especially when you're jumping from Belmont state bred to Saratoga open company, is a large jump up in class, right? And it's going to be a lot more contested pace. You're going to see more horses in those races. I mean, just the waters get a lot deeper when you're going from that state bred level, even though it's the exact same 9-1 level. You're going from a 45K race, state bred horses at Belmont, to a 100K race, open company at Saratoga. The waters are just a lot deeper here. It's the same reason why a horse like the 4, Yes and Yes to me, is just, well, I'm sorry, not the 4. But anyway, it's one of those jumps in class that to me just is not, it's tough to win back-to-back races when you try and do that. And we saw the one time that the 7-horse Noble Emotion faced open company. It was at Aqueduct, 82,000 non-winners of 1. He was up front early and quit off and ended up missing by 4 lengths. It was at a further distance, which I totally give you credit for. I agree the 5.5 is probably the biggest thing in his boat right now. But with the way that it's playing and the fact that we're jumping up from state bred to open company, I'm just going to pass on the horse.
That was also the one time that the horse has lost in 4 tries going 6 furlongs or shorter. But that did give me a little bit of pause. I'm more hoping that this is now a 4-year-old facing a whole bunch of 3-year-olds that are halfway through their season. I can maybe catch a flyer here. All right, talk about the horse I almost used, number 10, United and Resolute.
Well, first off, violence has not been mentioned enough on this show recently, so I had to at least use the horse because of that. But look, I like this horse, what it's been able to do since turf sprinting. First start of its career, turf sprint. Then they put it over to dirt, got back at turf at Kentucky Downs, ran a good third there. Flavian Pratt thought enough of this horse to get on it. Trade Deal ended up winning that race. After 5 was second. So a very good race there. We don't see this horse back on turf until a 100K stakes race, right? And runs respectable at Keeneland, chasing Artie and Fauci, then comes back and faces Field Day. Again, a very good field there. Then we go to Ellis Park, and what I believe was really a tune-up amongst anything else. The horse runs well in the $59,000 stake, ends up getting second. Tom Amos points for this meet. This is one of those meets where he's bringing all of his live horses. We've seen that early. He's got 8 starters, 2 winners, and 1 second. Saez picks up the mount here. We're getting second off a layoff. I think this horse is able to take a big-time step forward here, and it's violence out of a curling mare. I mean, I love how this horse is bred. It's got a monster Tomlinson number for this distance, and the one thing I really like about this horse is that it's got tactical speed. And every one of the races it wins, and this is how horses seem to be winning right now on this turf course going 5.5. You don't want to be on the lead, but you don't want to be dead last either. And that's exactly what we get here in the 10-horse United and Resolute. Going to sit right behind that first group of leaders, and we're going to get first run on them. And if you slow down up front and you get first run and you have energy left, that is the type of horse that's been winning. So I think the 10-horse United and Resolute is a nice little value here at 8-1 morning line.
Yeah, I agree with you. Amos, 2 wins in a second with his first 8 starts. I think both of those wins were they first-time starter and 2-year-olds. Was that what we saw that opening weekend? But I know his horse has been looking pretty good in the day, in the afternoon. So didn't convince me. I'm not going to switch it up here, but especially if the other Ward horse scratches. Maybe I'll just play the 12 twice here at 15-1. Again, I don't think we're getting 15-1, but we got a girl can hope.
Yeah, I think you're getting more like 7-1 when the gates actually break open.
Let's move on to the feature race of Wednesday, July 28th at Saratoga, the Grade 2 $200,000 honorable miss handicap field of 9 fillies and mares, 4 and up, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Favoritism on number 9, Bell's the One at 7-5. Number 4, Lake Avenue is the second choice at 9-2. This is where we're going to have a big divergence. Mr. Samich, you do love Bell's the One. Just in general, you love that horse, and you're playing her on top here?
I do love her. She came through for me on Derby Day. Was it last year, 2020? I'm putting her on top. I'm really excited to hear why you're not going to use her. You want to watch me to quickly list off the horses that have beaten her in between her wins? It's Gamine, Serengeti Empress, Kamari, Estilo Talentoso, and Gamine again in Wisconsin. That's the list. The entire list of the horses that have beaten her since her win at Churchill Downs back on September 5th, 2020. So, Explain to me which one of these horses is as good as Kamari, Gamine, Estelio Talentoso. I'm all ears. I'm looking forward to this.
Listen, on any given day, the Bell's the One she's definitely the class of the field, right? Definitely, I think she's the best horse overall. I think this is a spot where I'm going to try and beat her. I just think that I'm trying to pull something up here. What you said. All right, yeah, here it is. You had 1-5s and 2-5s losing all over the place this past weekend at Saratoga and Del Mar. And it's horses that look great on paper, that are super classy, that are facing talented horses because it's Saratoga and Del Mar, and they're getting beat and you're getting a great price advantage. I'm specifically trying to beat her because I think she's going to be the most likely single in this entire sequence. I think if she wins, it's going to take a lot for this to really pay out very well. Honestly, really, my concern is the 6 furlong distance. She did win the winning colors on May 30th, 2020. She cashed for you. It was 29. No, I don't know when it was that she cashed for you. Maybe that was the race, the winning colors. Yeah, she was 13-1 that day. I just don't. I'm afraid, Mike. I'm afraid that at such short a price, I'm going to try and beat her with a couple of other horses here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a different approach. I'm using only one other horse in this race who I think has high upside and some price. My biggest, I was going through this field and I was really liking some prices on the inside. And then we get to this 9 horse all the way here on the outside. And I see Bell's the One and I'm like, well, shit. This race sets up perfectly for Bell's the One. And that is the biggest problem. I don't think you can use any of the speed here. You have the time form early ratings. You've got a 121, a 98. You've got a 128, and you've got a 114 all in this field. They're going to be flying because, especially, and this is the biggest thing. The inside horse, Ain't No Elmer's, is a send or die horse. You've got to send with the horse, no matter what. And if Ain't No Elmer's sends, then all of a sudden you have a situation where Honey I'm Good is 100% sending. So now you have at least 2 horses going after the lead, and that's assuming that Sadie Lady, the 3 horse, who has not been behind in the first call of any race since 2020 or 2020 March is also going to send. You have 3 horses. They could go 21 flat if they could do it in this race in the first furlong. And the problem is that means I'm only looking for closers because those 3 horses are going to set this up. And closers, the track's been very fair. You can win on the dirt track on the lead. You can win from coming off the pace. With this specific setup, I don't know how you play any speed horse because they are, even if one doesn't break, you have 2 other horses that can both go sub 22 if they really have to, that need the lead. And the one horse absolutely has to send, who probably is the fastest. And you're going to have a couple others chasing her because they don't want to be anywhere but on the lead. It sets up so well for Bell's the One that it's so hard to find a way when you walk through a race shape here, how she's not at least right there at the end. All that being said, I'm going to take a shot with another closer who I think is interesting and kind of on the come up here, but I'd love to hear who else you're using since you're not using Bell's the One.
I did use Honey I'm Good. She was my top pick here because she's the one of the 3 speed that doesn't absolutely have to be. I agree. The one's one is going to be a suicide. Got to go. Especially after that last race when she beat optional claimers going 21-2 first out. Biscas is going to think he can just stomp on the gas pedal and win. Honey I'm Good has won multiple times from just off the pace or from stalking. She did it last time she did was it to Honor Way, who Honor Way came back and won a stakes race. Actually beat her in the Garland of Roses last December. She's 3rd off the layoff, 3rd start at age 5. This should be her peak time right now. It's Asmussen and Santana sprinting on dirt in a graded stakes at Saratoga. I feel like you have to use even by principle in that aspect. The horse is 4 for 6 at the distance with 2 seconds in the 2 defeats. You're going to point at the fact and say this horse, especially last out, was super strong, career best 91 Beyer that was in the mud. Before that, the 90 Beyer in the mud at Harmony Lodge. This horse is 5 catching fast dirt for the first time. The last time she caught fast dirt was an 86 Beyer, which was the best of her career on fast dirt. Now I'm saying if she gets to take a step forward at age 5, it's going to need to be a big step forward because if you look at Bell's the One, I'm expecting her to regress from those Beyers, which are super high 90s. I did use her. Let's talk about the other horse because I went 3 deep here, but let's talk about the other horse that you used as well. The 2 horse, Reagan's Edge. This is a closer. I think this horse isn't going to be dead closing. I think it's going to be a great tactical speed. 2nd off and 2nd at age 4. Jose Lescano has been aboard this horse twice before, got the win. In an off-turf race at Churchill Downs. Came back and almost won the victory ride in a true dirt test. The horses that beat this one, Venetian Harbor, Frank's Rocket twice, Hello Beautiful, who was racking up the wins at Laurel Park. I think you scratch off that 2021 debut, you're probably going to say the same thing. Horse did not have a great start. If you forget about that, I think this horse, especially when she was 2-5 that day, now we're taking a class step up and we're getting 6-1. I think this is a great value on this horse.
Yeah, I love the confidence that Sherry DeVoe is showing in this horse, right? And I personally actually really like Sherry DeVoe as a trainer. She was one of Chad Brown's assistants for a while. I think she's one of those names that a lot of people don't know, but you should because she is very, very good at what she does and she can get a price home for you. I love the confidence when you have a horse that was a short price in an allowance race and the trainer says, you know what? The plan was to go here anyway. I'm going to go here anyway. I'm not worried about it being a short price and losing. I'm going to just go ahead and take a step forward. I love to see that from a trainer here, and I think that Reagan's Edge is sitting on an absolute monster effort. I love the fact that we get that second time out as a 4-year-old. That's a big time angle for me as well. I want horses that are going to be behind the pace. I think I have the best deep closer in Bell's the One. I think I have the best close closer here in Reagan's Edge. I don't think you need to use anyone else here. So I'm just going to end up with those 2, and I hope we can get the price at 6-1 home on Reagan's Edge versus the what I agree will be the shortest price the sequence here on the 9-horse Bell's the One.
Real quick, the last horse I used, the 6, Don't Call Me Mary, top Pletcher Louis Sai, 2nd off of the long layoff here. This horse has won 2 straight, ahead away from winning 3 straight. Those were against optional claimers, not winners of 1 and 2 other than. But I like the horse, has cleared both of those hurdles, the conditions in back-to-back races. And now Pletcher says, look, beyond Bell's the One, a very deserving favorite, very classy horse, this isn't a really tough field. I mean, neither one of us are using Lake Avenue, who's the second choice here. This isn't a super deep field. Let's take a shot with her. With her running style, I think she'll be right there. Kind of with Reagan's Edge, waiting, sitting mid-pack. And if she's going to be drawn from post 6, she's got a better chance of being outside in the clear. Hopefully, Size can get the jump on her. She's going to need to take a big step forward again from a Beyer perspective. But her last 2 races were 2 of her 3 best. So 80, 85 Beyers. Again, huge step forward if she wants to compete with Bell's the One. I'm just taking a stance here that I'm hoping she regresses, and this is when I catch her. So she's probably going to win by, what, about 15? I
mean, she won't win by 15. She'll win by a half length. It'll be measured if she wins. That would be my guess. I think that the 6 horse is really interesting. This was the one that I was going back and forth on. What I love is that if you just draw a line through everything before the horse came into the Pletcher barn, right? You have the 34, but then you read the trip notes, bobbled twice at the break, was eased. Don't even worry about that race. Look at the 3 other races since we're in the Pletcher barn. 81 Buyer, which was career best at the time, comes back and wins and runs an 80, but missed the break, went 4 wide and won by 4.5. So it was probably geared down in that spot. Takes a little bit of a layoff, comes back, and wins for fun. Non-winners are 2. So makes that step up from a Gulfstream Park non-championship meet race. I'm sorry, championship meet race, but $25,000 optional claimer non-winners are 1, all the way up to an $80,000 non-winners are 2 optional in Belmont, and is able to basically put both of those fields away geared down. This is like, to me, I don't think she has to take that big of a step forward. I think she needs to take a marginal one forward, but I would not disclude the 6. Like, to me, I think using someone like the 6 makes much more sense than using someone like the 7. So if I do get the chance to add another horse, or if you want to add to my ticket, you can use the 6 here. I actually cut the 6 right before the show because the ticket was $72.
Oh, that's who you're going back and forth with. Okay.
Yeah, so this 6 horse I think is a good look, especially at the price. Should set up well from a race perspective and race flow. I think Bell's the one is going to be wildly difficult to beat in this spot. Because of that, I decided to go 2 deep here. And unfortunately, Don't Call Me Mary, the 6 horse misses the ticket.
Let's move on to the 4th and final leg, the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Wednesday, July 28th. Race 10 on the card. Mike, one of our favorites. Field of 12 maiden males, 3 and up, plus 2 AEs, plus 2 MTOs, all in for a $40,000 tag, going a mile and 16th on the outer turf course. Favoritism on the number 6 prayer book at 3-1. I went 3 deep here, Mike. Looks like, well, we agree on one horse, and it's not the favorite. You did not use prayer book. Who'd you put on top?
I ended up 4 deep here. I put the 7 horse Boldish on top. Look, this horse was debuted for $87,000 at Churchill. Ran a good buyer with a 67 number. Comes back and runs a mile. Completely draw a line through that. Was 2 wide. Then clipped heels, and they just protected this horse. They backed it up, right? That's why it lost by 57 lengths, not because the horse is terrible. Now we get first time against with this. Now we're dropping down in class. We get first time against Maiden Special Weight Company. Tomlinson number pretty good. Dialed in. I'm okay with dialed in on turf. Second off the layoff, Joe Sharp is 20%. The first time turf numbers, things like that, not great, but we get Saez. And this horse has tactical speed, but still can come running a little bit later, as you saw in that debut. Also, you saw this horse debut at about 16th, run a mile. I think the distance is going to be absolutely no problem here. I love the 8-1 price, and I hate some of the short price favorites in here. So to me, it's like, let's spread out a little bit. Let's use some prices, and let's see what we can make happen.
The 7 is the horse that I almost kept on, but it was going to be a $60 ticket, so I said, no, I'm going to cut you off there. But I liked everything that you mentioned about him. Let's talk about the horse that we did agree on, who's my top pick, the number 3, Caribbean Gold. I find it interesting after listening to you earlier in the show that you're using this horse because you said speed has not been great, but maybe it's because we're dropping down to a lower level, so you really want to try and have horses that are a little closer to the front here. I think this is your inside speed at early time form pace of 104. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard. First time gelding for Mike Maker after losing back-to-back at this level at Belmont Park. Horse likes to sit up close to the front there. It's got the inside speed. I like that this is a 4-year-old facing a bunch of 3-year-olds here. I don't know. Is there anything else that I missed? The fact that this horse at 2-back at Belmont Park, went a mile 16th, finished 3rd. The winner ended up repeating next out, and Declare a Truce is a horse that I did not want to use in here, but I think that race, the pace was against it. This race, much better setup.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 also has 5 races on numbers that are good enough to win this race. I mean, and that's when you really start looking at it. You're like, there's not anyone that's wildly consistent. And I mentioned you did have the 1 winner, 2 turns, wide to wire. It was a maiden special weight race. The lower level you get, the more likely I am to use speed, just simply because these horses don't want to pass as much as the more talented horses, right? And so when you have a horse like Robin Sparkles who gets run down, well, guess what? It got run down by a really damn good horse, right? Yeah. And so, in that case, you're like, I'm not going to the turf course clearly affected Robin Sparkles. In this case, you're like, look, they got to pass this horse. And this horse is inside speed. And this horse has multiple efforts that are good enough. It is 3rd off the layoff. It is Mike Maker. You're getting a gelded horse for the first time. To me, there's just enough here that I'm not going to let this horse beat me. It was the last one on my ticket, but I kind of had to put this horse on my ticket. It's also the last race of the day, which means that it's going to be under the sun the most, the racetrack. This is going to be the most likely to a firm turf course of any race of the entire 10. So later in the day, I will be giving speed a better chance because you're going to be sitting in the sun baking for hours versus dew, and then you got rain, and then you got the morning dew, and then this is when you're going to get a firmer turf course.
Who else did you use in here? Take us to your next pick.
So I like the 10 horse quite a bit here, Bunker Hill. This is another horse who's first time facing maiden special weight, or I'm sorry, first time facing maiden claiming company. The races weren't wonderful, but they were facing pretty good fields. This is Barclay Tagg, second off the layoff. You get Dylan Davis aboard. He's ridden pretty well on the turf. I'm not going to hate on him too much, but I love the pedigree, man. I mean, we're in a $40,000 maiden claimer, and I'm getting a Son of Warfront out of a Galileo mare. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play that horse. Like, especially if you're telling me we're going to get a softer turf, right? I mean, this is just like, this horse is bred to be good on turf. I feel like having second off the layoff, being able to go further, having numbers that fit, all of that makes this horse make sense at 8-1. So I'm going to use Bunker Hill, the 10 horse, and I'm going to close my ticket out with just a little bit of a crazy pick here. I'm going to go to the inside here, and I'm going to go with Ready, Seek, Go, 20-1 on the board. This is a More Than Ready out of a Giants Causeway mare, again, bred wonderfully for the turf. This horse, just the first race, I'm just going to completely draw a line through and assume this horse is not that bad. When you sell for $130,000, there's got to be something there. There's a couple reasons why I could say not to use this horse, namely the trainer. I don't really love him. But when Gaffleon gets aboard for the trainer, we're 3 for 7 in the last 2 years. Additionally, look at the Bullet, 3 workouts back. This horse might actually be doing some running here. And with this, when you're bred this well and you're dropping down first time from maiden special weight down to maiden claiming, I'm willing to give you a shot against this field. And I mean, we'll talk about horses, I'm sure. Like, look, the 3 horse, I'm going to use reluctantly, the 5 horse who seems like he can't win a race, the 6 horse who seems like he doesn't want to win a race, and by the way, is wildly slow out of the gate. Those are going to be 3 heaviest bet horses here. And then, okay, I guess we can go outside of the 12 horse, who's, by the way, 0 for 7 and just rubs to run second or third. You have so many horses that don't want to win that are going to take money in this race that I feel like you almost have to take a shot somewhere, especially if you're going to be like me and you're going to include the 9 in the last race, Bell's the One. You kind of need to beat those 4 horses who are going to take the majority of the money and are all really weak favorites. Like, let's be honest here. It's like, are you really confident that any one of those 4 horses are going to win?
No, I'm not. But I'm laughing because it's you and I had the same idea, but the exact opposite execution. It's like, well, going short prices here, so I got to beat a favorite in this one. I'm using the top 3 choices here. I'm using the 3, the 5, and the 6, and I'm trying to beat Bell's the One in the race prior.
Uh-oh. I think we lost magic here. But these are races where typically I'm going to try and avoid using some of these short prices. I just don't think it makes any sense to play short here. Look, Prayer Book could totally win, but is not even on the lead in a 117, 6 opening 6 furlongs, 2 back over a good Belmont turf, right? So when I look at a horse like that and you see Pletcher and you see Irad Ortiz Jr., and this horse can't get anywhere near the lead at that maiden special weight level, he could be 10 lengths back of this field. And the last thing I want to do is be playing a short price who's going to have to weave through a field to be able to try and make it happen. So for me, a horse like Prayer Book is just not one of those that I want to throw onto the ticket. You know, I kind of went back and forth on the 11 horse, who I think is a little bit interesting here. Went 7 furlongs at this level, first time out. Mike Luzzy, not a jockey that I really love. David Cohen's been riding pretty well. You get a nice price here at 20-1. And again, this is a horse that just doesn't know how to lose yet. Sold for $190,000. It's an Empire Maker out of a Tappet mare, so really good breeding again. I think this is another one that you could try to throw on if you really want to go after a price. The horse that probably will be a wildly heavy favorite and would make, I'm assuming both Magic and I adjust our tickets here if they draw in, is the 14-horse Digital Software. If Digital Software makes the ticket here, I'm not sure how you don't include this horse. Or if he makes the race, I'm not sure how you don't include the horse on your ticket. And that would really adjust how I play this. I would shorten, if Digital Software is in, I'm going to shorten down. I would play a $5 ticket and a small 50-cent ticket, because then I think you have Bell's the One and Digital Software. You can play at a short price and try and hammer those first 2 legs and try and make some money.
Sorry to drop out there. Thanks for vamping. I'm with you. The 14 would definitely make the ticket. You forgot the one key angle. The first thing I did when I looked at this race, Mike, I looked for where's Manny Franco in the last. I remembered the anonymous man's tip, Dan Torgman's tip. You got Manny Franco riding for Chad Brown in that race. If he draws in, you might want to just single him.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in, I'm probably going to have a pretty decent-sized 9-14 double, and I'll probably have pick 3s with those 2 singles, and I'll probably play a pick 4 and pick 5 press with those 2 singles, because that horse dropping down to this $40,000 level for the first time, second out as a 4-year-old. I love Temple City as a sire. Obviously, you have Brown Klarovich. I think there's a lot going there. Now, I'm assuming that horse doesn't get in. And if that horse doesn't get in, then I'm just wildly going after prices. So I mentioned the 11 while you were away, second out, Son of Empire Maker by a Tappet mare, 20-1. Like, there's a lot of different angles you can go, and this is one of those races that's just wide open when you have 4 favorites that don't like to win.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to go through the late pick 4 sequence at Saratoga on Wednesday, July 28th. If you're going to be out at the track, let us know. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm Matt Kurz-Kellawart. He is at SilverBomb18, number 1, number 8, Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. We'll go through our tickets one last time. If you're watching us live or the replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, please give us a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. Click the little notification bell. You'll get alerted every single time we go live. Blinkers Off goes live. Ricky's Rockets goes live. Lots of great stuff over on the YouTube page. We'll go ahead and give out our tickets. As I mentioned, Mike, I'll start things off. I'm going to go 6-7 with 2-3-6-7-12 with 2-6-7 with 3-5-6. That's $45. I might as well just play a straight $6 ticket for like $5, Mike, because I'm just using the 6 in all 4 of those legs there.
Oh, a straight $6 ticket for $5. I like it. That's gonna be an interesting one to play. Yeah, you might as well go 6-6-6-6. What could go wrong? I'm gonna go with the 3-5-6 with 2-3-10-12 with 2-9 with 1-3-7-10. That'll cost you $48.50. I do agree with Magic. If you want to beat Bell's the One, the 6 horse at 12-1 is really interesting in that third leg. I think the 11 horse has some value in the last leg at 20-1. If you want to shorten up early and spread more deep, I think both of those prices are worthwhile using.
Let's take a look at what we got coming up this week. I'm not used to looking ahead. They usually do that on Thursdays, not on Mondays. I know that there are stakes action at Saratoga all week long coming up. Oh, the Bing Crosby is this weekend. We got the Bing Crosby at Del Mar on Saturday, or the Vanderbilt Bowling Green and Jim Dandy at Saratoga. I think we're going back to Saratoga on Saturday, Mike.
I think that I love the Bing Crosby. But I think I know where we're headed. We got to give some shout outs to people in the room here. Jay Will, congratulations on that pick 6. I love $24 ticket paying $3,000.
Holy
That's awesome.
Smokes!
That's a hell of a
Congrats.
ticket, and we got to give Chris a congrats here too, who's in the room.
Oh yeah,
qualified for BCBC over the weekend. So looking forward. Hopefully, if you play at Del Mar, let us know. Definitely grab a beer out there. But congratulations, that's a hell of an accomplishment, and it's a wonderful feeling. So I hope you celebrated. And that is be ready now, man. Start playing some fake bankroll tournaments. Take $750 to figure out how you play it on Saturday. And it's wild trying to play those tournaments. But congratulations, Chris. Looking forward to seeing you there.
I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, big congrats. I saw that on Twitter. That was pretty awesome. So we'll be back on Thursday, 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. We'll be looking at Saturday's late pick 4 sequence, which is going to have at least 2 of those stakes races that we talked about. Jim Dandy, it looks like it's going to be essential qualities to lose, but tune in on Thursday. Maybe we'll single it, maybe because it's Godolphin. Mike hates it, and we'll be absolutely against it. Until Thursday.
I don't like the Dolphin horses. The Go Dolphins, man. They're like my favorite barn. If I'm really going to, not my favorite.
He just hates Maxfield.
I don't hate Maxfield. I properly value Maxfield, unlike the majority of the world.
Hot takes. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.